This is going to be an interesting video. So I'm not going to speak about particularly what they're going to be speaking about too much, or rather I'm going to use it to speak about something else that I'm more interested in speaking about. So I'm going to let this run just so you can get the topic a little bit, and then we'll get into it.
Thousands of people in the streets of downtown LA joining a global demonstration in the solidarity with the people of Iran.
Yeah, these protests continuing. This is weeks after the death of an Iranian woman while in the custody of the so-called morality police. Let's go to John Finolio.
All right, now we got to break this down because this story and this whole thing is loaded. But before I get into that, before I start it over, I want to talk about what I want to talk about. Now, the focus of this video is going to be the myth, and I hate to use that word in the way that I'm using it because I know what myth is, but I'm using it in a very Western way. The lie, rather, that the U.S. citizenry is being taken advantage of by the U.S. government, by the politicians, and that there's this separation between the citizenry and their opinions, beliefs, and ideologies and the politicians that represent them. Now, if Dick Cheney and George Bush in the U.S. government and these people are greedy warmongers who are just after oil, they're after oil because of the amount of energy that the people in the U.S. use. Okay? Now, these people all want cars of their own. They use gas like it's water. Okay? At the same time, they can be convinced, or they can convince the politicians, it's a back and forth thing, that they're morally superior to others. So when you hear them say,
with the people of Iran.
Yeah, these protests continuing. This is weeks after the death of an Iranian woman while in the custody of the so-called morality police.
now this and that's, you see what they called it? The so-called morality police. Now, this is an idea that exists all over the world, the idea that there are different groups, whether it be the church or the government or different secular groups or different community groups that impose certain rules on others. Someone's always in charge. But in any society, the individual has to compromise to be part of the group, to make a better way for everybody. And there's compromises that you make because it's easier to have certain luxuries than to try and do everything on your own. I'm going to let this run a little bit more, okay?
Let's go to John Finolio. He joins us live from downtown LA. He's got more on all of this. John?
MB Rick, good evening to you. This was a peaceful and impassioned demonstration. It just wrapped up a short time ago here at Pershing Square. Demonstrators here say they are standing in solidarity with Iranians who are demanding the downfall of their authoritarian government.
Iranians in the U.S. Listen, Iranians who came to the U.S. are demanding the downfall of the country they came from. And they want the country that they just got to do something about the country they just left. How selfish can you be? Look at these idiots. And
They
just
march by the thousands
disturbing
through downtown
things.
LA. Demonstrators demanding an end to tyranny in Iran.
We're here to be a voice for the people of Iran. We're here for regime change.
Today's rally, one of dozens.
You hear it? Now, she sounds like a Westerner. She sounds like she's from the U.S. I just mean her voice. She has no accent, you know, her whole vibe, her whole tone of voice, everything. She reminds me of every woman here. She wants a regime change. That's a bloody thing. And I'm not saying, we're not talking about whether this Iranian woman who was killed, allegedly killed, by the police there, that sparked all of these riots and demonstrations, whatever you're going to call them, or the numerous ones, or the several ones who were killed or hurt or beaten or raped or whatever the word is that we're gonna assaulted, whatever way. I'm not commenting on that. I'm commenting on this particular person here and what she's demanding from the government. And she'll be the same person that will complain of the atrocities of war that happen when people go into to make a regime change. Let's keep it running.
Around the globe, fighting for women's rights in the oppressive Islamic Republic.
The oppressive Islamist Republic. Now, the U.S. government, the U.S. as a whole, and when I say that, I mean everyone here, the society, the social structure, is the most oppressive in history, in my belief, including now. It's the worst place. And the people, the citizenry, are the most complicit in the atrocities which mostly happen within the U.S. and also the atrocities that go on around the rest of the world. The different places that they're pillaging for resources, just stealing things. They're doing that because the citizens use it, they want it, they demand it, they consume it at a crazy rate. Let's hear what this lady has to say.
Have it bad in America because of Roe v. Wade and whatever, but imagine not even being able to show your hair. So just wanted to say, women, life, freedom.
The latest demonstration.
Women, life, freedom, or women love freedom. I don't know what she said. She said, or whatever. She's smiling. She does not even know why she's there. She's completely centering herself around the whole thing, talking about Roe v. Wade. Roe v. Wade has nothing to do with Iranian women getting assaulted to death, getting murdered because they didn't wear a headscarf right. Has nothing to do with you wanting to have sex with as many men as you can and then kill all their babies. I hate to laugh, but it's just ridiculous. Let's listen to her again.
Demanding an end to tyranny in Iran.
We're here to be a voice for the people of Iran. We're here for regime change.
Today's rally, one of dozens
Regime
around
change?
the globe, fighting for women's rights in the oppressive Islamic Republic.
We think we have it bad in America because of Roe v. Wade and whatever, but imagine not even being able to show your hair. So just wanted to say, women, life, freedom.
The latest demonstrations.
Okay, now, this is a person who contributes likely very, very little to any situation she's in. I feel very confident in saying that. She seems completely unintelligent. Just her presence and tone is just annoying. She has a very short window of when she'll be tolerable as a person. It has to do with her appearance. I don't think she's very attractive. But, she gets to show off her hair, right? She knows that she shows off her hair, she shows off her body. Most men are very susceptible to seduction in that way. And so she can have a high place in society, higher than she really has earned or deserves, because during her youth, and she's still in her youthful times, she is sexually attractive to most men, not me included. But this is the type of person that gives the U.S. a bad reputation, because this is not who most of the people are in the U.S. This is the type of person you're going to find in big cities, and specifically on the East Coast and the West Coast. The people on the East and the West Coast of the U.S. call the middle of the country flyover country. My whole immediate family went to Ivy League schools. I'm a college dropout. I have a high school education. But I've been around these people, and I'm telling you, they call the middle of the country flyover country. They don't want to be there. They think it's backwards. They think it's country. They're completely conceited. And they are consistently vying for power over these people that they think are inconsequential. Whereas these are the real people. Let's not get too deep into that. Let's move on.
Are in response to the in-custody death of Masa Amini. The 22-year-old
And this
was
is
arrested
very
in Tehran
unfortunate.
on September 16th by the state's so-called morality police. Her crime, not wearing her hijab or headscarf properly. 3 days.
And we may think that's not a justifiable reason to be prosecuted or persecuted or whatever, but it's not our society. And as I've stated, or I may have stated, my family has been here for over 300 years, and I have indigenous ancestry native to the South, particularly Alabama and Florida and Georgia. I won't name the different tribes and all of that, the different nations. I'm just trying to give my credentials on why I feel and think that I can speak credibly on this particular thing. This particular thing being the interaction between the politicians and the citizens. And that there's no separation between how the politicians act around the world, the fact that there's military bases in all of these countries all over the world trying to control everything. If you listen to that woman and how self-centered she is and how she's not able to understand this Iranian woman's struggles or the Iranian people's struggle for some kind of compromise between each other, between an Islamist state and a secular state, between men and women. She hasn't tried to understand anything about this society.
After her arrest, she was dead. Iranian authorities claim she had a heart attack. Witnesses say she was beaten to death.
It's easy to be a superhero if you have superpowers. They don't have superpowers, but they're putting them...
All right, this guy sounds like a fucking idiot. Tehran Van Gasri? I don't believe that's his name. Okay? This is an African, a man with a lot of African ancestry. He probably told them his name was Tehran Van Gasri for whatever reason. He looks like a child. A grown man should not have hair like that. He's got Tehran on his hat. I just don't believe you. You're very immature, and I believe that you're deceptive. I don't want to hear what the rest he has to say, but I'm just going to let it run.
...themselves in danger every single time they go out on the street.
Since Amini's death...
We're all in danger every time we go out on the street. It's much more dangerous for a man anytime, all over the world. It's much more dangerous for a man to go out on the street anytime, all over the world. And in the U.S., a woman can come up to a man and slap him for no reason, and if I slap her back, or if he slaps her back, everyone will chastise and assault him. They might even kill him. In the U.S., men are so competitive because it's such a consumerist society, and there's not enough to go around, which is why the U.S. is always going into other countries taking things. But within the U.S., the society is so violent because there's not enough to go around that you can get killed at any moment over the slightest thing. Today I watched a story about a man who got stabbed to death because someone didn't say thank you when they opened the door. This may very well happen in Iran, but it doesn't happen in Iran at the same rate it happens in the U.S. It happens all the time. I myself have seen people be murdered for the smallest of reasons. So the idea that we have time to go around the world meddling in other people's things, whatever they are, is an American ideology. I won't say the West, because I haven't been in the West my whole life. I've been in America my whole life, the U.S., United States of America. And I've seen people behave this way. I've met a lot of foreign nationals, as they say, or people who immigrate here and become citizens or just stay here for a long time. And the people that are allowed in the country are a specific type of person. And when they come here, they adopt the same ideology. Now, the people who have been here the longest are the least like that. Let's not get too far off topic.
Protests have erupted throughout Iran, many led by young women demanding change. Iranian authorities have cracked down, reportedly killing dozens of people. Thousands more have been arrested.
Killing people in the street right now.
Southern California.
That's all they wanted that man to say. They're killing people in the street right now. Without getting too far into this, people are getting killed in the street all over the U.S. for all kinds of different reasons. This man has to overlook all of that, especially in a dangerous, violent city like LA, to go somewhere and protest other people getting killed in the street. And then he wants a country, because he had an accent, so he just moved here. He wants a country that he's not even from to do something about a country he betrayed. And we're going to put it like that. It's a betrayal. He moved somewhere and now he wants a regime change. They said the downfall at the beginning of this story. And this woman has the nerve to be holding the flag of the country that she's protesting. You can't make it up. It's ridiculous.
California has the world's largest population of Iranians outside of Iran. Homa Esfarjani has called the U.S. home for decades. Before she fled Iran, 3 of her cousins were murdered by the state.
They killed them because they had one newspaper, and they killed them. And that the next day they brought their clothes and they said, okay, you have to pay for the bullet that they used to kill them.
For reading the newspaper.
Yes, for having the newspaper.
The people of Iran are just...
Did you understand what she was saying? I mean, it was slightly understandable, but of course, the news story is trying to perpetuate an idea. At the end of the day, corporations are people, right? You remember when they said that a few years ago? So the news, these news companies, the corporations that are involved with them, are trying to perpetuate these particular things. And corporations are made up of citizens. Now, there is a one world element of this that wants to create a certain amount of strife to be able to control the workings of the world, the social elements. And as I interact with the citizens of the U.S. every day, they're very deceptive, they're very hypocritical, and they know what the corporations are doing, and they work for the corporations, and they will do anything to keep their position, to keep their cars, and using their gas, and their oil, and their electricity, and being able to keep buying these fancy phones that cost $1,000, and their computers, and watching baseball and football. They will watch other countries go through turmoil and then want to impose their own ideas about what that country's supposed to be.
Fighting for simple things like freedom, democracy, human rights, a secular, separation of church and state to be...
For example, exactly what she just said. She's speaking about freedom, democracy, human rights, separation of church and state. These are literal things from American documents. So inherently, what these people in this protest are saying is that they want Iran, which is an Islamic state based and built on Islamic principles, to become a Western state built on Western principles. They don't want Iran to exist. At the beginning of the story, they said the downfall of Iran. It's extremely selfish, extremely irresponsible, self-centered, and really pretty violent and brutal because they know what this means. None of these people are young. They're immature. They're inconsiderate because people who don't have money, people who are poor, people who have families that they have to support, they don't have time to go out and march in the street for, changes in other people's countries. These people haven't considered what the order is in these countries and why they may have instated Islamic laws. It's silly just to think they just want to oppress women. Now, I have to compromise every day in this society to get along with people. I have to listen to people call everyone nigger, sometimes me. People I don't even know. We don't have any kind of rapport or understanding about language. I just have to listen to them call me black. Just because they understand some kind of identity that I don't even want or have or acknowledge. I'm at a bar the other day, and one of the bartenders that's serving us is a transsexual person or a gay person, I could not tell. But the person had on a shirt that said masculinity is a prison and walks up to me smiling, knowing that the shirt is confrontational. That's why the person put the shirt on. And because I want peace and serenity around me, I don't say anything about the shirt. I just get my drink and keep it moving. That's compromise. That's normalcy. That's peace. You know? Now, this symbol that this person is holding on their sign with the two fingers doesn't represent peace. If the world started in 1960, like her studies did, then the symbol would represent peace. But the world didn't start in 1960, and neither did my studies. Well, I wasn't born in 1960, but my studies don't start in 1960 of the world, and neither does this symbol she's holding on her fingers. So I hope this video was coherent and introduced you to another point of view, or, you know, maybe it was just entertaining. But I just had to say something to somebody, because we live here in the U.S. in an oppressive society where if a lot of times I say the type of ideas that I'd say, I have to go through the type of oppression that I have throughout my life. And I won't complain. I won't protest. Peace to you and your family.